today, I want to offer you a spiritual practice that can be used either as an individual or in a group setting. And it's called give and take. And it's sort of an adaptation of something I read from Richard Foster years ago. In our relationship with God, we are both people who have to receive things from God and people who offer things to God. So we have some give and take. Now, it's not a symmetrical give and take. We don't give anything like what we're able to receive from God. But we do have a relationship with God that involves us offering things to God and receiving things. And so in this prayer exercise, what we're going to do is spend some time reflecting on things that we bring to God as an offering and things that we need to receive from God. And what we would do is just spend some time alternating between those two things. So we might say we're going to take a minute in each one. And we might just use a simple timer, or we might just have somebody, if we're in a group setting, have somebody that's leading the practice that says, now give, and then receive. Give and receive, and just kind of give a minute or so in between those things. And when we're in giving mode, what we might be thinking is things that we need to give to God. So we may just very simply say, I'm giving God praise. I'm giving God my adoration or my attention. And in our prayer, we're just kind of going over things that we need to give to God. I give thanks, okay? Or maybe it's I give my repentance over something that is part of my life that doesn't need to be. Or maybe it's something like I give you my trust in this situation that I'm facing. So anything that we might say that we need to give to God, we would do in that space, okay? And in the alternating spaces, when we're in receiving mode, what we're doing is we're saying, and I receive, and we're being conscious of the different things that we receive from God. I receive grace, I receive life, I receive help from your Spirit, I receive forgiveness, or I receive strength, right? And sometimes these things might be related. So if I'm in the giving mode, I'm thinking about, for instance, my need to give my repentance over something in my life that I want to change. Well, when I switch into receiving mode, I'm going to be thankful that God has given me the grace and forgiveness to recognize that and to move on from it, and just the mercy that God gives us all the time. So this is the practice, right? And if I'm doing it as a group, I might sit and I might just take time and say, I'm going to take 5 or 10 minutes. And I'm going to kind of go back and forth between these two modes. And I like to give myself a little physical trigger to know when I'm in each mode. So if I'm in giving mode, then I might like take my hands and put them like I'm putting something into God's hands, like hold them up like this, or in kind of a giving sort of mode. And if I'm in receiving mode, I might put my palms up like this, like I'm ready to receive a gift from God or receive something from God. And then what we might do is I might take 5 or 10 minutes to do that as an individual and just take time receiving and take time giving and then receiving and giving, with some space in between those. And do that, and after a while, I'll close out my prayer, and then I may reflect a little bit on what that prayer exercise, like what the Spirit has moved within me to kind of reveal to me about what I need to give to God, what I need to receive from God. It may be like, I'm giving God my anxiety about some situation that's troublesome in my life, and I'm receiving from God like comfort that He's present with me, or whatever it is. Now, if I'm doing this as an individual, I might just do that by myself, okay? If I'm in a group, I might lead a group and just ask somebody to be the group leader, and, they just kind of help the whole group, keep on track. So give a minute or so and say, now let us receive. Now let us give. Now let us receive. And let's kind of go back and forth until you've done it for 5 or 10 minutes. And then if you want, you can have some conversation and say, as a group, were there things that we felt like we needed to receive from God today, or be aware that we've received from God today, or what were some things that we felt like we needed to offer to God, to give to God? And then some conversation about that can kind of finish up the practice. And then as a whole, just offer a time of prayer. So this is give and take. And it reminds us that in our relationship with God, we are always both receiving exactly what we need from God, but that we also are called to come and bring certain things to God. We may be bringing our anxieties and our cares to God, or we may be bringing God our troubles and the situations that we want God's help with, or we may be giving a gift to God, maybe offering ourselves to God in some very specific way, or giving ourselves to God's mission in some specific and particular way. But whatever it is, this spiritual practice just tunes us in to that give and take relationship that we have with God. Now, here's the key. We have to always remember that whatever it is that we bring to God and we offer to God, we will always receive much, much more. We receive much more abundantly than we ever offer to God in return. Hope this is a good practice for you. May God be with you as you deepen your understanding of the give and take relationship that we have with God. Grace and peace.